Okay, we're back. I've been getting some questions about problem Pa8-1. Apparently, it looks like there could possibly be some calculation errors with the problem and the solution, so I think we need to take a look at it. We're in Connect SB problem Pa8-1 to Pa8-3. Following information applies to the questions displayed below. Iguana Inc. manufactures bamboo picture frames that sell for $20 each. Each frame requires 4 linear feet of bamboo, which costs $1.50 per foot. Each frame takes approximately 30 minutes to build, and the labor rate averages $13 an hour. So let's just kind of schedule that information here on a blank spreadsheet. So let's see, we got, this is Pa8-1 to Pa8-3, Iguana Inc. And they manufacture bamboo picture frame manufacturer. Let's see, we have selling price. $20. Then we have cost breakdown. We got direct material. Let's see, direct material is 4 linear feet of bamboo, $1.50 per foot. And $1.50. Why don't we put headings on these numbers? This is linear feet and cost per linear foot. And so that we don't get confused, let's put some formatting. This is currency. Okay, so, and let's format this as a number. 4 linear feet. Okay. Selling price is $20. Let's just put up here per unit. Per unit. Okay. Let's format this one too. Okay. was the labor. Labor is 30 minutes at an average rate of $13 an hour. So we got let's move this down. Hours and cost per hour. So 30 minutes would be 0.5 hours. Cost per hour is 13. Let's format $13 an hour. Format this as a number. 0.5 hours, so 30 minutes. Okay. Let's see. Inventory policies. Ending inventory finished goods should be 40% of next month's sales. Ending raw materials inventory should be 30% of next month's production. So why don't we put that information here. Inventory policies, ending finished goods inventory equals 40% times next month sales, and ending raw materials inventory equals 30% times next month's production. Okay. And then I think it might be a good idea to recreate this information here on the spreadsheet. We'll probably have to use at least some of it. So expected unit sales in frames. So why don't we move this over here? 345, 390, 440, 540, 515, 565. Okay, so these are expected unit sales frames. Selling price is $20 per frame. Each frame requires 4 linear feet of bamboo and 30 minutes or half hour to build. Okay, so this would be per frame, per frame, per frame, per frame. Okay. So why don't we change that to per frame. Okay. Okay, now let's see what we have here. Variable manufacturing overhead is incurred at a rate of 30 cents per unit produced. Why don't we throw that in there? Variable manufacturing overhead is 30 cents per unit produced. So 0.3 this is 30 cents. 30 cents. Okay. Annual fixed manufacturing overhead is estimated to be $7,200 or $600 per month for expected production of 6,000 units for the year. So annual fixed manufacturing overhead. Okay, so fixed manufacturing overhead is why don't we do per month? This is per month. Okay, and we can put in here 7,200 per year. Okay, let's make a little bit more space here. Okay. Selling and administrative expenses are $650 per month plus 50 cents per unit sold. Selling and administrative expense 0.5 plus 650, and this is 50 cents per unit plus 650 a month. And the fixed overhead is for expected annual production of 6,000 units. Okay, so this is at 6,000 units produced. Okay, what else do we have here? Iguana Inc. had $15,800 cash on hand on April 1st. Of its sales, 80% are in cash. Of the credit sales, 50% is collected during the month of the sale and 50% is collected during the month following the sale. Of raw materials purchases, 80% is paid during the month purchased and 20% is paid in the following month. Raw material purchases for March 1 total $3,000. All other operating costs are paid during the month incurred. Monthly fixed manufacturing overhead includes $290 in depreciation. During April, Iguana plans to pay $3,000 for a piece of equipment. Okay, let's see. This is a lot of information. We need to take this apart and attack this one item at a time. So the first thing that we are being asked to do is come up with budgeted sales revenue. Budgeted sales revenue for April, May, and June. Let's see. Okay, so the first item that we're asked to calculate is probably one of the easier ones. Budgeted sales revenue. So I think we have that information scheduled out. We have our expected unit sales, and we're looking at months April, May, and June. So these are our expected or budgeted unit sales for each of those 3 months. And we have our budgeted selling price of $20 per unit. So why don't we show that? Budgeted sales revenue. April, May, June, and we'll simply copy these unit amounts here, and our selling price budgeted units, budgeted selling price, and let's format these cells for currency. Okay, and so we would take units times selling price, and those would be our budgeted sales, 78, 88, and 10.8. 78, 80, 88, and 10.8. And as we normally do, let's check it, make sure we're okay there, and we're okay there. Okay, let's see, next item, budgeted production. Budgeted production in units. So let's see, our production inventory policies. Ending finished goods inventory is 40% of next month's sales. Let's see. Okay, let's see, budgeted production. In units. Okay, so we need to start with budgeted sales for the month in units. So I think if we copy this information as a starting point, that would work. Budgeted units current month. Current month, okay. Then let's see, our inventory policy is ending finished goods inventory 40% of next month's sales. So plus 40% next month. We need to fit this in there. Plus 40% next month. Okay. Less 40% current month, since our ending inventory at the end of March would have included 40% of April's projected sales. That might be a little bit hard to follow initially, but if you think about it, we're starting out the month with 40% of the current month's sales based on our inventory policy. Ending finished goods inventory 40% of next month's sales. So end of March we should have 40% of April's sales, and end of April we need to include 40% of May's sales. So if we do this one calculation at a time, I think it should work. Plus 40% of next month. So we'll take plus May times 0.4. We won't be able to copy that. Plus June times 0.4. And we need to show July because we need to include that calculation, which is 515 for projected unit sales for July. And so we'll take plus July times 40%. Okay. And then we back out the, what do we put a line in here? A row. Okay. Then we back out we back out 40% of this month's sales. So plus April times 0.4 plus May times 0.4 and plus June times 0.4. Okay, so this was our beginning inventory at the end of April, so we're backing that out here. This was our beginning inventory at the end of May, so we're backing that out here, and that same pattern would follow moving forward, but we need April, May, and June. And so I think this should give us total budgeted production for the month. Total budgeted production for the month. Let's see. Hopefully that'll work out. If we sum it, and 722, 832, 722, 832, and what was that last number? 962. Okay. And let's see if we're okay on or check my work. And it's showing as incorrect. And this might be where that problem is. Budgeted production in units. I need to double check this. Hold on a second. Okay, I think I found my error here in this calculation. I am adding this amount and I should be subtracting it. That's what I have at the heading, less 40% of current month's production, and I'm adding it into this total. So let's change these formulas and change the plus to a minus. Okay. That's a basic error. And whoops. Minus that times 40%. Okay. Wait a minute. This should be 37. This should be 38. Current month. Okay, and then this one should be 39 minus. Okay, that changes our totals for budgeted production per month. So let's see if these numbers will work. 410, 480, 530. 410, 480, 530. And let's check my work. And those are okay. Yeah, troubleshooting can drive you crazy. Plain and simple, it can drive you crazy. But you know, it's part of the process. It's something that takes practice, really, when you come right down to it, and you can't avoid it. You know, errors happen. Working with numbers, and especially working with formulas on a spreadsheet, can be pretty challenging. And if you're tired, it gets even worse. But you know, you just got to keep at it. Sometimes it makes sense just to leave it, go do something else for a while, a few minutes or an hour, or sometimes even a day, and you come back to it. A lot of times it'll just, your error will just pop out at you. Okay, so let's continue. Budgeted costs of raw material purchases. Now this is the one I think that's creating most of the problems. So let's take a look at it. So I think it's what's going to be important here is setting up a little spreadsheet area that works for what we need to accomplish. Budgeted costs of raw materials purchased. Raw material purchases. So why don't we put that in there? Budgeted costs of raw material purchases. And I think we need to start out with our budgeted production in units. So why don't we schedule this a little differently here. Why don't we put our months across? April, May, June, total. And start out with budgeted production, and these would be the numbers that we calculated in the previous calculation. And just so that we know we're okay here, our total was 1420. Okay. And again, we're looking at budgeted production in units. So this budget production would be our frames or units that we're working with. And so we need to first show our raw material cost per unit or frame. And that was 4 linear feet at $1.50. 4 linear feet at $1.50. So we're working with feet initially. Raw material linear feet per unit. So our requirement is our requirement will be 1640. I think we can copy this over. Okay, and for the quarter, it should be the same here. So we're looking at 1640 linear feet for our budgeted production for April, 1920 linear feet for our budgeted production for May, and 2120 linear feet for our budgeted production for June. Okay. Now, just as we did up above to adjust for inventory, we need to add plus and our raw material inventory policy is 30% of next month's production for our ending for the current month. So plus 30% times next month production. So our next month production is 1920 linear feet. So times 0.3. Next month's production is 2120 times 0.3, and then we need to show July. July, we didn't calculate July. We need to calculate July. So let's do that here. Plus 40% of next month. Now we're going back to the previous calculation, budgeted production in units. So that would have been August was 565. So this would have been 565 times 0.4 plus 565 times 0.4, and this would have been the current 515 times 0.4 plus 515 times 0.4. Plus 515 times 0.4. Okay. I did the same error here. I need to use a minus sign. Okay. So July budgeted production is 523. So our plus 30% of next month's production, this needs to be let's see, I'm using D45. This is 523, 4 feet. So D45 times 0.3. So this needs to be plus F45, that's July linear feet production. Times 30%. Let's see if that's going to work there. We have rounding rules. This decimal is bothering me. I think we need to round up. Let's just format it. Number. Okay. It's showing up there. Let's round it, and hopefully this is going to work out. Okay. And then less 30% of this month's production. Less 30% times current month production. So we use a minus current month production times 0.3. And can we copy that over? Minus B45 times 30%. And let's see if we can copy that over. And 1704, 30% of E45. Okay. And then let's put a total on this. We'll call that budgeted raw materials purchases. Linear feet. Okay, we're working in linear feet. We're back to that. Pa8-1 5.6 and okay. So this is our budgeted purchases in linear feet. And what do we want? Budgeted cost of raw material purchases. So we need to apply the cost per linear foot for raw materials. Cost per linear foot. And let's see, that was $1.50. So this would be our budgeted cost of raw materials purchases. So let's see, plus times 8723.4, 8723.4, I didn't want currency there. What did I want? Number? No, I guess I did want currency. Okay. Yeah, did want currency. So these should be our amounts. Let's see if these are going to work for us. Uh, 25862970 and 3167.4. 3167.4. So I'll round that to 3167. Total is 8723. And keeping our fingers crossed here, let's see if we got this correct. We got 2 out of 3 correct. So let's see what they're looking for with that June amount. Might be with the rounding. I wonder if they want us to round up 3168. Let's try that. Nope. They don't want us to round. Well, let's see if they want an exact number. 3167.4. Let's see if that's going to work. We got something wrong here. Because this is off. Budgeted production for June was 530 times 4 is 2120. 30% of next month. Let's see if we got this correct. Next month's production, I have 535. Oh, it should be 565. Next month's production should be 565. And this month is 515. That's correct. So this should be 535. So this calculation, C45, D45, F F45. F45 times 0.3. Oh, this is a number. I should have, let's see, we got 535 here. That should be 535. Okay. All right, so now we got a whole number in here. So we got 2586, 2970, and this changes from 3167 to 3189 here. 3189. And let's see if that's going to work. Okay, now we're okay. Well, that was pretty tough. That was kind of a long, drawn-out calculation. So you got to use the various pieces. You got to go into July here, and you got to go back to the previous calculation for number 2 to include the July total, and use it in this calculation for number 3 to get the linear feet for July, so that when you back out, when you add 30% of next month's production, you're using 30% of July's linear feet, 2140. That's this number here, plus F45 times 0.3. F45 times 0.3. Yeah. So that basically eliminated our decimal, which was kind of bugging me from when I saw it, because usually these problems aren't going to be dealing with decimals unless they specifically say give you rounding rules, and they're not giving us any rounding rules here. Okay, so we're okay through 3. Okay, for number 4, budgeted direct labor cost. This is a little bit less complicated than what we did in 3. So again, we go back to our, I should number these, budgeted sales revenue. This is number 1. Budgeted production in units. This is number 2. Budgeted cost of raw material purchases. This is number 3. Okay, makes it a little easier to focus on each of the different calculations we need to do. Number 4. Sorry, I forgot my headset. I'm not sure if you were able to pick that up. What I did here was I went back and numbered the different requirements, number 1, number 2, number 3. So we're on number 4, and that is budgeted direct labor cost. And so I think it's probably a good idea to start out with how we not sure if we're going to use July in this one. We have budgeted production, and for materials we use raw material linear foot per unit or frame. So that was 4 linear feet per unit. For labor it's 30 minutes or half an hour. So we're going to be working with hourly costs, so we'll use 0.5 hours and not 30 minutes. So this will be direct labor minutes, and I'll say hour required per be a consistent, just per unit or frame. And so minutes is 30, but we'll use 0.5 hours. And then that'll give us hours required for each month's production. So our budgeted production is in units or frames. Our labor is a half an hour per frame. So we can say hours required per month, and that'll be plus units times half an hour. And if we use that same formula, it'd be 710. And what I've been doing here is using a sum formula, 710. Okay, and then we can apply our hourly cost per hour, $13. Just as we did here, cost per linear foot for raw materials, cost per hour, direct labor cost per hour, and that's 13. Why don't we format that as currency? And when we multiply that out, that'll give us budgeted direct labor cost. Yeah, budgeted per month. So that'll be plus hours times cost per hour. And again, that total is 9230. So if we use a sum 9230, and let's see if that'll work for us. Budgeted direct labor cost 3120, 3445. Was that 3145? 3445. I'm sorry, 2665. 2665, 3120, and 3445, 9230. Okay, let's see if that's going to work on our check my work. Okay, we're okay there. That one was a whole lot easier than number 3. I can see why some of you are struggling with number 3. That calculation is pretty complicated, pretty challenging. Okay, budgeted manufacturing overhead. Budgeted manufacturing overhead. Okay, sorry, I had to turn that off so I could sneeze. Budgeted manufacturing overhead. If we go back to our overhead information, they're giving us both variable manufacturing overhead of 30 cents. I have per month there, but I'm thinking that's probably per unit. Yeah, per unit produced. I don't know why I put down per month. So this is variable manufacturing overhead, 30 cents per unit, plus fixed manufacturing overhead at $7,200 a year, or $600 per month, and that's at a production level of 6,000 units. And so at our current production levels, as far as we can tell, we're within that 6,000 unit production ceiling for the overhead. So let's see, 5 is budgeted manufacturing overhead. So we have our budgeted production. Then we have our variable manufacturing overhead cost per unit, and that was 0.3, 30 cents per unit. So we need to format that as currency. And I think we need to multiply that out. Variable manufacturing overhead cost per month. So we have our production in units per month times the variable manufacturing cost per unit. And we'll do the same thing here, 426, and we use a sum formula, 426, and then we add our fixed manufacturing overhead, cost per month. And again, that was 600. Let's format these cells. So our budgeted manufacturing overhead, and that should be the total of these two. $22.26. Okay, let's see if that's going to work for us. $7.23, $7.44, and $7.59. $22.26. Let's see if our check my work is going to agree. Okay, now we are okay. We got past those tough calculations. Let's see what's coming up here. Budgeted cost of goods sold. Budgeted cost of goods sold. Let's see what we have up here. Budgeted cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold, we need our units sold times total unit cost. Units sold times total unit cost. So we're going to need kind of a two-step process here. We need to get our unit cost. Unit cost. How should we format this? Budgeted manufacturing costs per unit. Or frame. So we have our direct materials required per unit. $4 linear feet. And then direct materials cost per linear foot. $1.50. And then that would give us 4 feet times $1.50 per foot, $6. Direct material cost per unit. Let's see, then direct labor. Direct labor required per unit, and so that was 0.5. And then our direct labor cost per hour, and I believe that was 13. And let's format that as currency. So this is our direct labor cost per unit. Oops. Half an hour times $13 an hour, $6.50. And then let's see, our variable manufacturing overhead cost per unit, and our fixed manufacturing overhead cost per year, and our fixed manufacturing overhead cost per unit at 6,000 unit production level. Okay. This was 0.3. This was 72. So if we take 7,200 and divide by 6,000, it's $1.20. I'm gonna shorten this calculation. So I'm gonna say 7,200 per year divided by 6,000 unit production level. So this is going to be 7,200 divided by 6,000. Okay. That shortens that calculation. Okay. So this would be overhead, variable manufacturing plus fixed manufacturing overhead per unit. Okay. So we have direct material cost per unit, direct labor cost per unit, manufacturing overhead cost per unit. This is budgeted. Okay, so if we add the 3 plus, okay, $14 per unit. And what again are we? What are we calculating? Budgeted cost of goods sold. Budgeted cost of goods sold. So number 6. So if we take budgeted sales in units, April, May, June. I should know how to do this, but paste transpose. I think that's the one. Is that the one? Yeah, that's the one. Except we need it here. Control X. There. Okay. Budgeted budgeted sales per month in units. And our budgeted manufacturing cost per unit. So that's 14. Do we need a total here? Yeah, I guess we do. And so this would be budgeted cost of goods sold per month. $54.60. Let's format that as dollars. $19,180. Let's make sure that that's okay. Okay, let's see if that's going to work for us. 54.60, 61.60, 61.60, and 75.60. 19,180. And let's see if our check my work is going to work. Okay, we've got one more calculation to go. This is a 2-hour problem for me, so this might take some of you a little longer than that, maybe 3 hours. Okay, budgeted selling and administrative expenses. Budgeted selling and administrative expenses. Selling and administrative expenses are estimated at $6.50 a month plus 50 cents per unit sold. Okay. Oops. Budgeted selling and admin expenses. So we go back to budgeted sales per month. And that's in units. Then our selling administrative expenses, 50 cents per unit plus $6.50 per month. I should probably move this here and say per unit and per month. Okay, and this is per month. Okay, so we got 50 cents per unit. So we should multiply that out. It's a subtotal. 685. And then we add the budgeted S and A per month, which was $650. Budgeted S and A expenses per month. This is budgeted variable S and A per unit, and this is budgeted fixed S and A. So this is budgeted total S and A per month. Okay. Okay, so let's try those. 845, 871, 845, 871, and 922, 2638 total. 2638 total. Let me save this file. Okay, check my work. Oh, I don't like to see that. Well, let's check that out. I think I'm rushing here. Yes, I copied this 650 over and it went over as 651 and 652, whereas it should be 650 and 650. So that should be 870 and 920. 870 and 920. And let's see if that'll fix that. Yeah, it did. So we are okay. It is 12:45. Looks like I think I started this at about 10:30. Looks like about 2 hours and 15 minutes. I took a couple of breaks to use the bathroom and get some coffee and stuff. So maybe about 2 hours. This might take some of you anywhere from 2 to 3, possibly longer hours. Okay. Let's see. The last thing we do is submit. And we got 15 out of 15, 100%. save our worksheet file. And return to assignment list. And I don't know why that timed out, but I think we're good. Okay, hopefully that helps, and I'll get this processed and put up on YouTube and sent out to everyone. Thanks.